What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content. And a thank you to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. Once again, guys, if you want to support the channel, there. Hit that promo code and get started. Underdog's very easy. You're picking higher or lower on various players and their stats. Super easy to play. I've been on it. Y'all know I've been on a Drake and May train. Rough week for me. I went 1-4 this week, but do better than me. So again, big shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the video. Let's talk about the Dolphins. All right, so Coach McDaniel did his press conference today with the Chargers, and he's now their offensive coordinator. It's official. It's official. And they asked him about the quarterback situation, that he's leaving Miami and Tua and all that. And he said this. He said, I think it really pulled into focus how important a quarterback is to the overall effectiveness of the head coach and as a team. Yeah. And people were like, is that a fair shot? Is he coming at Tua? I think it's more than fair. I think outside of a very small amount of situations, if the quarterback is good, then the team tends to be good, right? Last year, Joe Burrow was amazing, and his team went 9-8. That would be an exception to the rule, but they had a historically terrible defense. And also, let's be honest, Joe Burrow put those stats up, but Joe Burrow in some clutch moments wasn't great. Like, he lost a couple games late by not executing. So he was great stat-wise, but he wasn't necessarily great in high leverage moments, right? But Joe Burrow in general was great. He talked about before that Tua's injuries were a part of the history, where we went from one of the top offenses in the league to one of the middling to worst offenses, and he mentioned that Tua dealt with some injuries. Obviously, the best ability is availability, and Tua has very often not been available. Or if he's been playing, he's been coming off of a concussion, a hip, a back, whatever. And so, yeah, of course the team's not going to be as effective if your quarterback is coming off injury and is already limited in terms of what his skill set is. I don't think anything Coach McDaniel said was actually wrong. I think people just want to find a reason to kind of nitpick Coach, and I don't think this is the time to do it. There are plenty of times to do it during the year. Plenty. He said some wild stuff at press conferences. He seemed like wishy-washy in some of his, like, putting my foot down stuff, but then everybody knew you were kind of a player's coach and kind of a pushover. There's plenty of things to undercut him about. I don't think this is one of them. I very much believe if we had a quarterback under Coach McDaniel for that 4 years who was fully healthy, more or less, right, and had the skill set to throw to all parts of the field, that the offense would have been a top 5 offense every year. I think he's that elite of a schemer. I think he's that forward thinking in what he does, that just would have been the inevitable outcome. I think the fact that we had an offense so good with Tua a couple years ago is an even bigger testament to how good he is. Did you see how many teams interviewed him when Miami let him go for OC or for head coach? It was like a third of the league. A lot of teams, good teams, like from Philly, Detroit, Baltimore, Buffalo, they all wanted him. He turned Buffalo down. Like, I'm sorry, guys, I got too much on my plate. All the good teams wanted him. That should tell you something. They all respect his mind. And I think the reason the play on the field didn't get to the level it could have got to is because of Tua. I don't think it's Coach McDaniel scheming it up. I don't think it was personnel necessarily. I know Tyreek got hurt, but I think it was largely Tua's ineffectiveness and injuries. I do think it was a shot. I'm not going to lie. I do think he took a shot, but I don't think the shot was unfair. I think he saw him on the field. I think there were things I'm sure he was like, this is my playbook. This is how much I want to play. And this is how much I want to call, but I can only call this much because it's all you can do. And if he could just let it all go, it will be amazing to see what he can do. He's got the quarterback now. Justin Herbert has no physical limitations. He has no arm issues. He should be recovered from his hand by that time. I am very curious to see what that offense looks like when he can just go. And I think if they ball out and have a top 5 offense, then I think he'd be more than vindicated. Miami culture is a thing for the Miami Heat, right? I've lived in Miami for years. You guys know that if you live in Miami. They talk about heat culture. And it's like, how do you describe what that is? It's basically Pat Riley and then everything that comes off of Pat Riley, right? So it's the discipline, it's the conditioning test, it's the how you deal with the media. It's all that as part of heat culture. It's grit, it's playing defense, which is why Tyler Hero is notoriously not really in heat culture, but that's way off topic. The question is, we have a new GM and a new head coach. What culture can they bring in, and which culture is going to work? Because largely over the last 25, 26 years, we haven't had one that has. And I think that's an interesting question because we know what Halfley is. He's a defensive-minded guy. He's talked about, I'm going to wear my emotions on my sleeve, hard pan, hard hat, steel-toe boots. We going to work. He said that's what he wants to do. That isn't really what Miami is as a city. So I'm curious if that approach is actually going to work. Miami is a lot of things. What Miami isn't is what Green Bay is. Green Bay is cold, hard work. What Miami people work. Miami's a hustle city. Miami is a luxury city. Miami is a turn-up city. But Miami, I don't think of as grit. I don't think of that when I think of like the larger Miami, I guess. There are parts of Miami that are gritty, of course. But if that's going to be his approach, I'm curious if that's what the fan base is going to like latch on to. It could very much be is, are we winning games or not? That's it could be that, right? But the comfort of being in Miami, and I think both of them, him and Sully mentioned in the press conference, being in Miami is a distraction. People like being in Miami. It's not hard to get friends to show up for your games, not hard to turn up, not hard to party with stars. It's all there. And I think that's why Miami lends itself to being a little bit more laid back as a team, because what incentive is there to be hard-nosed grinding and all that when it's 78 degrees and you can go to the beach after practice? Like, it's the atmosphere. I don't know if it pulls in like, Urgh. But I do think that approach and what that team looks like is the team we should be. Y'all know I said it in the preseason of this past year. Miami should be a 60-40 running team. They should lean on that. They should give the defense a break by running the ball, running the clock, give them less possessions. The defense can play more aggressive, protect the secondary. I laid all this out well over 100 episodes ago. And there were times that they did it, and when they did it, they were good. I'm not saying I'm a genius at team construction. I'm just saying, based on the personnel, that made sense to me. I watch a lot of football, so I thought my assessment was fair. But that seems to be what Halfley also wants to do. And I think if they lean into it more, it could work, but it needs to work like pretty soon. Like, you got to make the playoffs basically your first year, because, you know, we're a year removed from the playoffs. It's not like we've been a terrible team for the last 30 years. We haven't been a team we want to be. But if you're a gritty team and you do what the Patriots did this year, where they went from a 4-win team to a 16, 17-win team in the Super Bowl, then I think that culture works. But I think when you grind people hard, because I think Brian Flores wanted to be that. I think Brian Flores wanted to be a run-first, defensive-minded team where the quarterback sprinkles in plays. The problem is Brian Flores' personality overrode his vision. So people may be like, I think what he's doing is right, but I don't like the way he's doing it. I don't like the voice it's coming out of, right? So he was almost there, because he was largely, I think, fairly successful given how porous the team was, and there may have been a tanking situation in there. It's been litigated. Who knows what actually happened, but he seems to be 10 toes down that y'all are paying me to lose. Not that important right now. But I do think the way he was coaching the team would have worked maybe longer term, or if he had a quarterback that had the same level of buy-in that he had, going back to Coach McDaniel in the first topic, you're limited by your quarterback. And there's times Tua got benched early on in his career because they didn't think he's not ready. He's not playing well. We've seen him in practice. So my tough-nosed culture doesn't work if I'm being tough with my quarterback and he won't respond to the toughness. If he's crying and he's moping and he's going to the media, then I lost the locker room. It's like, I remember Greg Popovich talking about back in the day, the reason the Spurs were so good is because he coached Tim Duncan the hardest. And then when he went to anybody else, they said, what can I say to Coach Pop? He went at Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan's first ballot Hall of Famer. I am a role player. I can't talk back to Pop. And Pop got rings. Like, when you got rings and your top player buys in, you're good. And if Halfley and Sully can bring that kind of culture to Miami, then I think it could work. Football's biggest game is right around the corner, and you can get in on all the action with Underdog. Not an Underdog yet? Then you're in luck, because new customers score $75 in bonus entries once you make your first $5 entry. Playing Underdog is easy. Just head to the app, make picks if a player will go higher or lower on stats including touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and more. If you get them right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Plus, there are new promos dropping daily on the app. So if you like making picks, you like winning money, Underdog's a place to be for the big game. Now, you guys know I've been on the Drake May train this whole time, and that has not stopped. I'm going to go Drake May for higher on his rushing yards because I think he's going to need that to win the game. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use promo code FootballFan to score $75 in bonus entries once you make your first $5 entry. That's promo code FootballFan. Underdog, make picks, win money.
18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/playing terms DFS for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 line at 1-878 or text from 467-369.
So we talked about yesterday, like Drew Aller being a quarterback from Miami and late round flyer type quarterbacks. Let me say this from the outset. There will be a lot of people who think that Carson Beck could be that guy from Miami. One, Carson Beck literally just played in the championship game at the University of Miami. It seems like kind of a layup, right? He's already here. His girl goes to the university. You know, he's from Jacksonville. It's all there, right? Like it's a Florida thing. He did go to Georgia for a few years, but that's fine. He's in Miami now. He's 6'4", 225, pretty good arm, more athletic than you think he is, what have you. I will say this, and I make no equivocations about it. I am a anti-Carson Beck guy. I do not trust Carson Beck. Now, again, Georgia trusted him, and Georgia has been a great program for 6-7 years. He was, part of 2 of their championship runs. He wasn't their starting quarterback, but he technically has 2 championship rings and just helped take Miami to the championship game now. Well, at Georgia, he was 24-3 as a starter. It's pretty good in the SEC. That's pretty good. I can't knock his yardage. I can't knock winning the SEC championship. I can't knock his record. I can't knock his throwing motion. I thought he was great against Ole Miss. Like the fact that he won the game at the end, like that clutch drive, I can't take away from it. So some of y'all out there who are like, you hate it. No, I see what some other people see. But let me tell you, I am not a Carson Beck guy. All right. I can get behind a lot of players that I'm like, I don't like the team, but I think he has upside. If you told me Carson Beck was a Miami Dolphin, I might be 12 toes down anti, even more so than Zach Wilson, who y'all know I was never a fan of. I have this thing about quarterbacks, the same thing I have about defenses, where for defenses first, if someone's like, I have a good defense, my barometer is, okay, if you're up by 6 with 2 minutes to go and your defense is on the field, do you think your defense can get a stop? And if you say yes, like a Houston Texans or a Denver Bronco type defense, then you have a good defense. If you say, I don't know, your defense is not good to me. That's to me, like I know I whittle a lot of important things down, secondary, linebackers, pass rush, whatever down. But if I don't trust your defense to get a stop late in the game, I don't trust your defense. I don't think they're a good defense. If I told you your quarterback has the ball down 6, do you think he's going to get the dub? Now, again, he did it against Ole Miss. But when they had the ball against Indiana with a game on the line, the whole time watching that drive, I was like, you're not going to get it done. And he could have done it. I mean, they had plenty of time. There was no reason to throw that ball that deep. He just could have nickeled and dimed it down the field. Had a minute left. But when I watch him play, my gut tells me I don't trust this dude. That's it. It doesn't mean that I'm right. It doesn't mean that he's great or he's not good. I do not trust him as a quarterback, but he does fit the bill for mid to late round quarterback that has upside. Again, high level SEC, ACC experience, really winner, more than a winner, damn near 90% of his games, right? Big time winner, big arm, big frame, not really injury prone. All the things check out. So this is a personal thing. I am not a Carson Beck person, but I can understand why the team could be. And, if he does well in interviews and, they think his arm's better than they think it is, he runs a little bit faster 40 time, I don't see it as a non-possibility. He's just not my first choice. And if you are a big Carson Beck fan, I wish you the best. But just know I am not, and this has been since 2022 at Georgia. I was like, nope. You just watch some guys, you're just like, I just don't trust it. And there's some that you're like, yeah, he'll get it done. Or I trust that he could. He may not, but I trust that he can. And that's where I am on Carson Beck. So is he worth considering? Yeah, of course he is. He's a prospect. Do I want him to be considered? I do not. But as always, y'all, thank you for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. We appreciate the love and support. We officially hit 2.5K subs, man. Appreciate y'all. I really, listen, y'all have been rocking out for the last month. Let's keep it going. My birthday's coming up in a few weeks. If we can get a 3K with my birthday, that would be like, but I could be asking too much. Regardless, I appreciate what y'all do for the channel. Thank y'all for supporting me. We'll see y'all next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.